Welcome to Free My Mojo podcast number 40. And it's a delight to be with you as always. And today we are talking about Awaken to all aspects of you. And this is something near and dear to my heart because I feel like a lot of my work is about awakenings, whether it's directing a film or whether it's writing a blog or doing a podcast or working with someone or an organization to really move them forward. Awakening to all aspects of you is so important because it's so easy for us as pattern-seeking, brain-oriented beings to seek out patterns and to live in patterns and to continue patterns and to perpetuate patterns. And that is so important because we need to really understand that about ourselves, that we talked recently about disrupting the narrative. It is so important that you understand that there are many aspects to you. And it's probably really important to understand all of them. And almost always, I think that bad things happen because we don't understand our complexity. And I think difficulties occur because we don't realize how very unique we are and how much we need certain things that maybe we are or are not getting. So awakening to all aspects of you really talks at this late day of number 40 in the 52 ways. It talks about the idea that there are so many little facets to you. You're like this exquisite stained glass, you know, you've got so many different colors, so many different angles. You've got so much uniqueness to you that sometimes when you're standing too close to it, you really can't see all of it. And you have to step back from it enough to be able to detach, to be able to see all the aspects of you. And of course, how do we get that objectivity? How do we get that objectivity to step back enough from ourselves to get all the aspects of ourselves? And if you've had a difficult childhood or if you had something traumatic happen to you, how do you even do that? Because in order to survive something horrible, a lot of times what we've had to do is shut down parts of ourselves. So awakening all aspects of you may be difficult for you because you're afraid of awakening things within you. Because if you awaken things within you, then maybe trouble is going to start. So there may be this, Awaken the Giant Within as a title of a book that was very popular. But this idea that if you stir things up and if you wake things up, then what's going to happen? So this is a tricky one because if you awaken new aspects of yourself, then what will the consequences of that awakening be? So in order to do this, we almost have to have a certain amount of trust in ourselves, and we have to give ourselves a little bit more freedom to explore all the aspects of ourselves. One of the techniques that I've used before in workshops with people that really seems to help them is to write a letter to your 10-year-old self. And writing this letter to your 10-year-old self, what you're doing is you're connecting with who you were as a child. You may be able to find a photograph of yourself around this age as well, so that as you write this, you really feel that connection. But what you're basically going to do is you're going to reach out to that child and say, wow, what were the things that you were dreaming of? What were the things that you thought you would do when you got older and when you had money? There are different schools of thought on child psychology, but one of them is that your personality in large part is formed by the time you're 7 years old. So by the time you turned 7, most aspects of your personality were present, and those are the same major things that still exist for you now. But it is quite possible that depending on your childhood, there were parts of you that you either squished or turned off or disconnected from because that part of your personality might have brought you trouble or might have seemed like it was unpopular or may have seemed like it was not good for you in some way, shape, or form. And this is what's wrong with child abuse, is that because of child abuse, a lot of people turn off or dislocate from themselves, which is an issue. If there were poor dynamics in your home as a child, Maybe you really wanted to be creative. Maybe you wanted to be an artist. But perhaps in your family, people's views of what that meant was very negative. I, for one, remember really loving acting, and I'm sure that's not a shock to any of you, and performing. And the idea in my house was that my mother was not really for that. And she and I've had long talks about it since, because there were things that were said to me to discourage me or to redirect me, deliberately to redirect me. So we all are faced with the idea that there are parts of ourselves that we may not know, or there are parts of ourselves that may have gotten pushed out to the sides. So what we're looking to do here is awaken to all the aspects of ourselves. And part of that is going back to the joy that we had early on in life, or the joy that we have at the very core of ourselves. If you strip away society, if you strip away all the conformity, and you strip away culture, and you strip away gender and sexuality and income and all of these things, even education, and you strip it away, who is there? What is left? So what we're saying here is really big, because we're asking you, is there a part of you that you have put on hold? My friends from Brazil talk about putting it in the freezer, cooling it off, chilling it down, freezing it. Are there parts of you that you have denied because of some reason that seemed like a good idea at the time? So one of the things I'm asking you to do here is to really unlearn what you know about yourself. What I'm asking you to do here is to really remember your core, remember your soul, remember your spirit, remember who you are at your essence, and to really understand the complexity that is you. And for example, maybe you haven't explored aspects of yourself, like maybe you'd be an incredible business person, or maybe you'd be an incredible social advocate, or maybe you'd be a wonderful TV personality, or maybe you could write a script or a play, or maybe you could run a flower shop. I don't know, but there may be some aspect of you that we haven't explored yet. And what you've got to be super careful of is don't make excuses, and don't use stereotypes to prevent you from doing it. In other words, don't say, oh, I'm too old, or I've got children, or I'm too male, or I'm too black, or I'm too white, or I'm too this, or I'm too that, or I'm single, or I'm not single. These are all excuses that we make because we're trying to stay safe in our life. These are all excuses that we make because we are trying to stay safe. That's why we make these excuses. Our brain, our mind is trying to find ways to keep us insulated from harm at all times. And thank God we have that. That's a wonderful thing. We don't want to be walking on fires or falling out of windows or any of those things. We want to be protected. We want to be safe. But on the other hand, there are aspects of our being that we may have denied. For example, have you explored yourself from all your senses, and as many senses as you have access to? This is really important. So to realize that you are a sensing being, that you are a living, sensing, vibrant being. You're not a one-trick pony. You're not somebody who just does one thing or says one thing. There are so many aspects to you. So it is not too late for us. It is not too late for us at all. Whatever the story has been up until now, we've been talking about disrupting the narrative. But what we're saying now is, yeah, maybe that was true about me in the past, but this is also true about me. So this is about us looking at us and looking at ourselves from many, many different directions. You've all heard the story of the elephant in the room, and someone's got a trunk, and someone's got a tail, and someone's got a leg, and someone's got an ear, and it all looks like a different animal. And sometimes people say to me, wow, how do you find time to do all the things you do? And I worry sometimes that maybe I look like I'm a schizophrenic because I do so many different things and I'm involved in so many things. But the truth of the matter is, there's one thing I don't do. I don't do things that suck. I do not do things that drain me of energy. I do not do things that upset me over long periods of time. Yes, I have obligations. Yes, I have to suck it up and do things I don't want to do on occasion. But for the most part, the elements of my life that I deal with on a continuous, ongoing basis, they are wonderful elements. And the people who are in my life are the most incredible people. I have the best circle of people in my life who I love and adore. So the things that are in my life are by choice. Yes, I do have to deal with things that irritate or annoy me or get sick once in a while. But for the most part, I am open to awakening. I am opening to awakening to the fact that maybe I'm being difficult, or maybe I'm being scared, or maybe I'm being small, or maybe I'm being insecure. I'm open to the fact that I am human and I may be all of those things. But I'm open to the fact that I'm also many other things. We can be so hard on ourselves, and we can kind of say, if that's not perfect, then I don't want to do it. If that's not going to make me money, I don't want to do it. But the truth is, we deserve hobbies. We deserve interests. We were at a really beautiful gallery recently, and I said to Ryan, sometimes when you go to galleries, do you have the effect of thinking, I never want to do art again? Because sometimes maybe you want to sing, but then you listen to somebody who's the greatest singer ever, and you think, oh, I can't sing like that. So comparison is the thief of joy. Do not allow yourself to shut off parts of yourself or close down parts of yourself because of comparison. What we really want to do here is say, I embrace me. I embrace all of me. I want to explore me. I want to see what me likes to do. I want to really make friends with my inner childhood me. And I want to get back before all the complications, before all the layers, before all the limitations, before all the stereotypes. I want to get back to my core of who I am and what I love and what interests me and what I want to know more about. And this is where I'm headed. I don't care about where I've been. This is where I'm headed. So I invite you to awaken to all the aspects of you, because the world will be better served by you being awakened. Thank you so much for joining me. It's always a joy to be with you, and I really appreciate the opportunity to share these podcasts with you. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.